This is Red F. Ron Table coming at you with another edition of Movie Review Observation number 231. A little light week. I watched the documentary that was crowdfunded called William Shatner, You Can Call Me Bill. So I was very excited that he was going to be talking about his career, about the movie. But it seemed like he had long diatribes about how he wants to be laid to rest when he dies. And, talking about global warming and other things. And it wasn't that much about his movie career, his TV career. It was more of like, let's show you scenes from every TV show, movie, and commercial that he's ever been in, and then not even talk about it. Because I would like to have known about his experiences on The Twilight Zone multiple times, the failed Alexander the Great project, his work on Star Trek, the TV show, Star Trek the movie, his legal shows, Boston Legal and The Practice, and obviously T.J. Hooker, and working on Priceline Negotiator. Also, he had that really great travel show called Better Late Than Never with Henry Winkler, George Foreman, Jeff Dye, and Terry Bradshaw. That would have been cool to talk about, but it was just him just pretending he's a Shakespearean actor. He's just going on and on and on, and it's very boring. I may have to go back and see certain things, but it was just very boring. The cover misleads you. They show him at different points in his life. Then I saw the movie Lights Out with Frank Grillo, Dermot Mulroney, and Scott Adkins. So this is the second straight Scott Adkins movie that I've watched in a few weeks where he's barely being utilized as the action star that he is. Because in the obviously Dave Bautista movie, Dave Bautista is main actor, so obviously Scott Adkins is not going to get a lot of air on this in the movie. In this one, he's like Frank Grillo's old war buddy, and he's barely in the movie as well. And I don't really know much about the guy who Frank Grillo works with in the movie, or the other bad guys, but apparently there's a bunch of crooked cops. So the point of this movie is Frank Grillo is former soldier who's having all this PTSD and stuff, and he's been traveling, trying to make money. He makes money through fighting in a way. And this ex-con who gets out has him have to work between the drug people and these crooked cops and the bad guys. Like Dylan Mulroney's running a front through a gym, right? And he has these all illegal fights. And I think the guy from Prison Break and Benchwarmers, right his name, but he was the one that sets it up. And Frank Grillo, every time he kicks or punches someone, it comes like Mortal Kombat, where the screen changes and it zooms in on the piece of the body, like the bones or the arm or the leg, where he makes impact and it goes bam, like he cracked it, you could see that. And I'm like, reminds me of Mortal Kombat, the video game and the movie, where it's man, he punched that person right in the nose and it shows the X-ray, or he kicked him in the kneecaps somewhere. So that was interesting. But the whole entire movie is this black guy who's on the cover. His sister gets involved with some drug addict dude who's our drug dealer, and he owes money to Dylan Mulroney. And the fact that Dermot Mulroney also owns money to these crooked cops and stuff. And the only reason why Frank Grillo gets involved is because this guy wants to help him out. But then he says, fine, I'll help you out. You help me in. And Frank Grillo spent this whole movie just fighting people, and they have some suicide missions to stop them. So it was okay. It wasn't the worst Frank Grillo movie, but it was cool that he was just beating the crap out of everybody in the movie and no one could stop him. And like the William Shatner documentary, it wasn't that long. Then I watched the movie Godzilla Minus One. So first things first, this movie is almost 2 hours long. And I fell asleep through little parts of it, but it was so boring. It was post-World War II, people in Japan, they had seen Godzilla, they had stories. It was about this one dude who was in the military. And it was also in Japanese. So you have to sit through a 2-hour movie with subtitles that is super boring and uninteresting. And then there are some moments where Godzilla shows up and this guy was taking care of the mine. I may have to go back and watch certain parts, but it was 99% just super boring with subtitles and barely that much of Godzilla in the movie. So I know it was an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, it says, but it was pretty darn boring outside of the Godzilla theme. It's not like the other Godzilla movies where the cast and the crew are interesting enough and you can figure out what's going on. I don't care about some dude who happens to live in a little hut who takes in this woman who also took in this baby after the mother died, and that's his family. And then the crew he works with on the boat, they hang out and stuff. I was just really weird movie. Then I watched Halle Berry's Never Let Go. And the box, says it's 41 minutes. It was a little bit longer than that. And this is basically where they call this a psychological horror thriller. And it was not. This was a very boring, terribly put together movie that sometimes I go, why the heck did you make this movie in the first place? Halle Berry's a great actress, and I don't know why she signed up for this film. So apparently what it is her parents said there's these spirits and they've been training her for years, and the spirits took over her parents, so she kills them, and then her ex-husband divorces, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and the kids are to be told that the end of the world has happened. If you leave and you're not attached to this rope, the evil spirits will come and get you and possess you. Don't possess dogs. And the whole movie is her like being a survivalist, eating bark off the tree, eating frogs, all these other things with her two twin boys. One twin is totally into it. The other one doesn't believe her. And the whole movie is like her trying to tell her kids, this is real, this is real. And then, spoiler alert, one of the kids cuts the ropes and traps his mom in the shed, and the spirits come and she kills herself. And then the kids are left for their own devices and they fight each other. And then, they kill an innocent man because they thought it's a spirit, but it's not a spirit. And then the little girl goes looking for her dad. It's so stupid. And then eventually, as the two of them are fighting, they burn the house down. The movie ends with like these paramedics in these helicopters rescuing them and realizing, wow, look, the world has an end. No, everyone's alive. Our mother made up this stuff, and she's probably mentally, challenged or like disturbed that she's got to think this is the world. That's why it's called Never Let Go. You got to hold on to the rope and never leave the house and praise the spiritual wood. And they were saying some weird prayer over it. So it was not good. Then I watched a movie on Netflix. It is a few years old called The Bubble. It's Judd Apatow, so I got to assume with Judd Apatow, he makes some odd, weird, comedies, and I've seen some of his classics, but I've also seen some of his movies that are terrible, fellow Jew, he makes good ones and bad ones, and it's got a huge cast, like Karen Gillan of the Jumanji remakes and the Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy movie is in this movie. Pedro Pascal, who everyone loves, he's in this movie. His wife is in this movie, Leslie Mann, and his daughter, Iris Apatow, is in the movie. So a little bit of nepotism there. Fred Armisen of SNL, Lord is hilarious as the director. David Duchovny, Mulder, he's in this movie. Keegan-Michael Key of Jordan Peele and Key, the Key and Peele show, he's in this. Kate McKinnon's like the studio director. And there's Vera Das, who's a really funny comedian, and there's a bunch of other people. So it's basically the fact the world shuts down, and they're like, we're going to shoot this whole entire movie. We got the cast, the crew, the office. You got a quarantine, and people hate quarantine, and all the testing for COVID. And then they start filming this ridiculous movie called Cliff Beast. They made multiple ones before. The movie's more about Karen Gillan returning to the set and being away from family, and the studio forced them to make it. Fred Armisen being a weird director. And then I got the people that are running the movie that are forced them to do it even though they're sick, injured, weird security, and all this stuff happens, and the movie's like dumb. There's a lot of weird scenes. There's a lot of just pointless, wasted scenes, like people doing drugs, people having sex on set, having sex with one of those like Peloton workout things. It just was really, really stupid. And obviously they're stuck here, and they're unable to leave because apparently your agent said if you leave, you have to give money back. And it's just everything goes wrong in this movie. People getting injured, people you think dying, people running away, all these different things. And it's just a lot of crap happens. And then you involve the TikTok influencer who they put in the movie, and that's played by the Apatow daughter. And she's getting more of the scenes, and they're taking away from Karen Gillan because she's complaining about the harsh scenes in the movie set. No one wants to hear celebrities, which is a good line. No one wants to hear about celebrities complaining about life, but it's way too long. It's like a 2-hour movie. There's a few post-credit scenes or with the credit scenes going because the documentary was going on. A documentary was going on during the whole set of this movie. And again, the movie did not have to be 2 hours. I'm sorry. Maybe if it was a 90-minute movie, it would probably be better, but it was just terrible. And I can't believe, specifically, David Duchovny wastes his time. I can understand why Kate McKinnon, who left SNL, and Fred Armisen left SNL, they're in some bad movies, they're in some bad TV shows. Keegan-Michael Key, I understand that. And the fact that Judd Apatow made it, his wife and his daughter get the ability to be in a movie for free. And Verdas is a comedian, so he kind of needs to be in things. But overall, not that great of a movie. And, Pedro Pascal plays a weirdo in this movie, and a lot of them are weird. And then the Duchovny, Leslie Mann played a married couple, and this Gus Kahn guy runs away. You got the Gavin guy where everyone is like, you got to listen to him. John Cena is in this movie briefly. John Lithgow's in this movie briefly. So is Rob Delaney as the agent. Chase McAvoy plays himself. And Beck just starts singing to them as himself. Singing, like a cover. And then Miley Cyrus ruins the Blondie cover, Heart of Glass. Daisy Ridley is in the movie. So it's pretty interesting that they decide, let's make this movie. And then they make jokes that Tom Cruise is the only person making a movie during the pandemic. So I get the point of this movie. It just was not great. It really was not. And if you look at this, it says here, Rotten Tomatoes gives it an approval rating of 21% on 115 reviews with an average score of 3.9. This thing is just not great. 34 out of 100 on Metric. And in fact, it was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Director for work on this film. Says a lot about how bad the movie was. So if you're on Netflix, you're scrolling, you're like, fine, I'll watch this, but it's way too long. Never Let Go, don't know why Halle Berry wasted her time. Godzilla -1. If you have to wait almost 2 hours to see multiple scenes of Godzilla and you barely get the payoff, it's not worth it. And Lights Out, I will say I liked it, even though I fell asleep multiple times watching it because I was tired. That at least it has the fun action scenes. He's trying to help out this guy's sister and daughter because they're put in danger. And it's got famous actors like Scott Adkins and Dermot Mulroney. And then as much as I like William Shatner and Star Trek and other stuff, it was just not what I thought it was going to be. So thanks again for listening to another edition of Movie Review Observation number 231. For On the Radio Today blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.